My wife invited her lover home, but she didn't expect my ambush Reddit cheating stories. I never thought I'd be the kind of man to plan an ambush inside his own home. But when betrayal strikes, logic shatters and survival takes over. Let me take you back to the night that changed everything. When I discovered that the woman I trusted most thought she could sneak her lover into my house, under my roof. What she didn't know was that I was already waiting. For years, I thought Emily and I had built something unbreakable. We married young, right after college, and though money was tight, we dreamed big together. She wanted to open a bakery someday, and I was grinding through long shifts as a mechanic to keep the lights on. We laughed often, fought rarely, and from the outside, we looked like that couple people envy. But somewhere along the way, cracks began to form, small ones at first. Less eye contact over dinner, more nights where she claimed she was too tired. I chalked it up to stress, maybe burnout. I didn't want to admit to myself that love can fade quietly, like a candle burning down to nothing. But then came the messages. I wasn't snooping, I swear. One night, she left her phone on the kitchen counter, buzzing endlessly. Normally, I never touched it, but something gnawed at me. The screen lit up with a man's name I didn't recognize. The preview read, "Can't wait to see you again." Same place. My stomach flipped. That one text lit a fire in me, and though I hated myself for it, I opened her phone. What I found was a collection of messages that turned my blood cold. Secret meetups at hotels, flirty exchanges, and even discussions about me, mocking how clueless I was. The woman I thought loved me was ridiculing me with another man. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathing beside me, wondering how long she'd been lying. Rage burned inside, but so did a kind of hollow sadness. I wanted answers. I wanted her to look me in the eye and admit it. But I also wanted proof, undeniable proof. Days later, proof came to me in the cruelest way possible. Emily had gotten careless. One Saturday, she told me she was visiting her friend Sarah. But Sarah accidentally called the house, asking if Emily wanted to hang out later. That was the moment I knew Emily wasn't going to Sarah's at all. My mind raced with possibilities, but instead of confronting her immediately, I made a plan. If she was going to keep lying, I'd catch her in the act. I told her I had to work late one Friday, pretending to be exhausted and overburdened. She kissed me on the cheek, casual, normal, then left for groceries. But instead of going to the garage, I doubled back and parked my truck down the block. Hours passed, and my heart thumped like a drum as I waited. Finally, I saw headlights pull into our driveway. But it wasn't just her, it was him. Her lover. Watching another man step out of his car and walk into my home was like taking a knife to the chest. My house, my sanctuary, was about to be tainted. Rage almost made me storm in right then, but I forced myself to breathe. If I confronted them outside, she'd have excuses. No, I needed them cornered where lies couldn't save her. I crept through the back door with a spare key, silent as a shadow. The sounds of laughter drifted down the hall. They were in the living room, drinking wine, my wine. I crouched in the darkness, heart pounding so loud I feared they'd hear it. And then, I saw it. They kissed, right there on our couch, where Emily and I had spent countless nights watching movies. That image seared itself into my brain. It was time. I stepped forward, flicked on the light, and said, "Don't stop on my account." The shock on their faces was priceless. Emily's glass shattered to the floor. The color drained from her cheeks as her lover scrambled like a child caught stealing cookies. But I wasn't calm. I wasn't collected. Years of suppressed anger and heartbreak poured out of me. "How long, Emily?" I demanded, voice trembling with fury. "How long have you been turning our marriage into a joke?" She stammered, hands shaking, searching for words. "It's not what it looks like. Don't you dare insult me with that line," I snapped. Her lover, a man I barely knew, had the audacity to speak up. "Look, man, this isn't." "Shut your mouth," I barked, stepping closer. "You're in my house. You don't get to talk." He paled, grabbed his coat, and bolted out the door without another word. Coward. That left Emily, trembling and exposed. In that moment, she broke down. Tears streamed down her face as she begged me to listen, claiming she was lonely, that I'd been working too much, that she didn't mean for this to happen. Excuses. Empty excuses. I listened, but not with compassion, more like a judge letting the guilty speak before passing sentence. Finally, I said the words I never imagined I'd say. Pack your things. You don't live here anymore. Her sobs grew louder, but I didn't flinch. I watched as she scrambled to gather her belongings, crying apologies, swearing she loved me, swearing it was just a mistake. But love doesn't cheat. Love doesn't betray in your own home. When she left that night, slamming the door behind her, I sank onto the couch, the same couch where I'd caught her, and let the silence consume me. It wasn't triumph I felt. It was grief, loss, and the terrifying uncertainty of what came next. But beneath it all was a strange relief. The lies were over. In the weeks that followed, the pain lingered. I filed for divorce, cut off contact, and threw myself into rebuilding my life. Friends told me I'd been strong, but I didn't feel strong. I felt broken, like someone who'd lost not just a partner but years of dreams. And yet, life has a way of moving forward when you refuse to stay down. Slowly, I found peace in small things, working on cars, reconnecting with old friends, even picking up hobbies I'd abandoned long ago. The nights were hard, but the mornings always came. And with each sunrise, I felt a little less shattered. Months later, I ran into Emily by chance. She looked worn, older somehow, and her smile was forced. She told me she regretted everything, that her lover had abandoned her not long after that night. She wanted another chance. For a brief moment, I saw the woman I once loved. But then I remembered the betrayal, the humiliation, the ambush in my own home. I looked her in the eye and said, "You had everything, Emily. And you threw it away. I'm done." Walking away that day felt like closing the final chapter of a book I should have finished long ago. If you're listening to this and you've been betrayed, let me leave you with this: pain doesn't last forever. Betrayal may break you, but it also frees you. It forces you to see your worth, to rise from the ashes, and to rebuild stronger than before. Because sometimes, the greatest ambush isn't the one you plan for someone else, it's the one life throws at you, daring you to survive. And survive, you will.